So, back to a bit of seriousness for once. Don't know how we're going to do this, I'm going to struggle quite honestly. But we're here with an Audi R8, same platform as Gallardo was it originally, and maybe a Huracan now or not, is it? Don't know, it's
Huracan,
one of the Lamborghini platforms anyway. But what we're doing is skimming the discs. Now, in a lot of instances, this doesn't make too much sense, does it, Ben? Because the fine line between cost of skimming the discs and the value of like replacing a set of discs isn't quite there on a cheaper end car. Now, having said that, most manufacturers do recommend that to get the best fit of a set of rotors or discs, you do actually skim the rotors or discs to the hub, because they could be out, couldn't they, Ben? And they're actually, they reckon 15 thou have run out in a standard set of discs.
Yeah, but only once bolted to the car, so you could have a disc that is perfect on a lathe, but you bolt it onto the car, that's
not true.
And yeah, and it isn't 100% true.
Yeah. So what this eliminates is vibration from the disc or rotor itself when it's rotating, and obviously if it's warped then it'll touch, not touch, touch, not touch against each of either the front or the rear pad, as in the inside or the outside, rather than the front or the rear, as in the front rear of the car. But what this does is the machine actually bolts to the hub and then takes a measurement as it's rotating per wheel of, or per axle, corner, whatever you want to call it, of how much run out there is. Essentially like measuring it manually, wouldn't it, really? With the DTI.
It'd be like doing it with DTI, yeah.
Yeah. So the machine does that and then does a calculation. We then do a rough cut, don't we, Ben?
Well, the machine will correct the run out first, and then we'll do a rough cut by hand. Yeah.
So the rough cut, then Ben manually decides whether it's enough of a cut. You take as little as possible to start off with, so you may get left with something in the middle or something at an edge or something like that, Ben. It takes off obviously the lip at the edge as well. The rough cut takes that, and then you set the machine from the inside out, isn't it, Ben? So it takes from the closest to the hub and moves it way outwards. Does that all on its own on a screw feed. On particular models like this, where they've got drillings or a groove, you do each face of the disc one at a time, don't you, Ben? Yeah. You can tell them why that is, because...
Well, it's just because you get the machine, when it hits either a groove or a drilling of any kind, you get a little bit of bounce, and what happens if you do both sides of the disc at the same time and the drillings or grooves don't actually line up, you'll get a shadow on the opposing side of where it's cutting from, so you just literally do the inside face and the outside face individually just to avoid that.
And we can't do specifically more on this type of car. What disc can't we do?
Any ceramic brakes.
Yeah, because the vibration causes it, or can cause it to shatter, can't it? More than likely cause it to shatter. So what we're going to do is show you a little bit about how it operates and how effective it is. Audi, Ferrari and various other Porsche centres, I think it is. Yeah. They all recommend that they use this particular Pro-Cut machine. We've had this for probably the best part of 9 or 10 years now, haven't we? We bought it new. It's done not that much work for us. It probably wasn't, if we're honest, it probably wasn't our best buy, was it? But it's allowed us to do things that needed doing. Yeah,
it probably wasn't, but it's one of them things that it was just nice to have. Yeah. It was a luxury more than anything else, and it's just really nice to have.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have. The most common cars that we do are probably like when we started,
Audi RSs and BMW M cars and AMG Mercedes tend to be.
That's where the boys are that want to have this done. The break-even point is probably a big brake kit, isn't it, really? It's probably worth trying to save a set of rotors on a big brake kit. If you brought us an RS and said, I want to refurbish or do an underbody restoration, then yes, I could see why you'd want to skim the discs. But if you're putting a new set of expensive discs on something, then it's definitely worth, or rotors, it's definitely worthwhile doing at the same time to make sure you get the best out of your vehicle, the best drivability and the best longevity. Now that's a cool word, isn't it? Longevity. You know what
Does that mean, Lee?
I'm going to close.
No.
I know, no.
So yeah, if you want to get the best life, and we'll reduce the word down for Lee, out of your discs and pads, then even if you put in a new set, then definitely consider getting them skimmed. It's what the manufacturers recommend, and if you buy a set of EBCs, they actually recommend that you use a disc lathe on them when you install them, irrespective of what car it's on. So, but that's just a bit about the background of why we do it and who it suits more than anything. So just remember that we are a VAG specialist, so we do cover the VW Audi range. Specifically, more predominantly, we get more Audis that come in, quite a few R8s that we've done, and a lot of RS3s in it, than an S3s, certainly. So if you're interested in this, prices start from about £66 a corner, don't they, and range upwards, depending on how much work's involved, whether it's got to be individual side at a time, and depending on whether you do just one axle at a time or you do a full car's worth. When we do the brake skimming, remember that we do a whole axle at a time. We won't do just an individual disc, will we, Ben? We do recommend installing new brake pads with it, but as with this particular car, he's got loads of meat left on the bone. It is only a 15,000 mile car, so we're not going to put new pads with it. They will just take a little bit longer to bed in, won't they, Ben, and flatten to the shape of the disc. So, and fortunately with this particular car, there's not much of a concave in the middle. I'm assuming when you've done the rough cut, it's not too concaved. Or
well, there's
there
enough.
is a bit,
they are going to take some bedding in.
Yeah, they'll take some bedding in, but just remember that if you go out and whack it down the road, then you are going to ruin the discs again, because you get hot spots on it, won't you, Ben? But for now, we'll leave you with Ben talking you through a bit of the process. Won't bore you to death with it, not like I'm doing now, but hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more technical stuff like this, then let us know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, then consider
subscribing to the channel.
The word that I can't say. Give this video a thumbs up if you've already had this sort of work done, and if you want to know more about it, then get in contact with us via social media. Instagram is probably the quickest and easiest way to get hold of us at the minute, so get us a DM on there, and while you're there, give the page a follow. Thanks guys, thanks Ben, I'll leave you two with the camera.
Right, we mentioned briefly earlier that this machine actually measures the run out in each individual hub. It will then make adjustments to get rid of all that run out before we actually do any cutting, just to make sure these discs are 100% true. So I'm just going to show you now how, well, you can just see, we'll get the disc spinning and you'll see the machine taking some measurements and you'll hear it adjusting, and then we'll go on to cutting. So when it actually starts measuring, it will look worse than it actually is, because it's not starting from a true zero at any given point. The machine always starts from where it left off on the last disc that was cut, if you like. So you can kind of ignore the starting measurements because they're, you know, they're not a true reflection. It's where it finishes that's important to us at this stage. Anything under 1 thou run out in the machine will automatically stop adjusting, and that's like you've got there, you've got 0.8 thou. The machine is happy with that, we're happy with that, so we can start the actual cutting process. So we start off with a rough cut. So we're just sending the cutting head in here slowly with this adjusting handle, and we're just looking for it to make contact with the disc, just gently. Now, I don't know if you can actually make that out in the video, but you can see, can you see how the cut mark where it's made contact is just going light and dark? That shows you exactly, well, not exactly how much, but it shows you that there is definitely run out in this disc, because the machine's made its adjustment. It's perfectly adjusted to the hub of the car, and you can see that when the cutting disc has made contact, it's not leaving an even line in the disc. So that's what we're going to get rid of now with this first rough cut. So we just lock that off, and we do it all by hand initially. Actually now just starting to miss the disc, so there's a big low spot in the disc just there. We're just coming back into contact now just before we get to the lip. I'm just going to stop this so I can actually show you, but you can see the low spot there that it hasn't caught, but also the other, I might have to spin it actually. And just spin it. So the dark patches obviously are low spots in the disc, and that's what would give you the pulsating feeling of a warp disc through the pedal. So the low spot, you see the shinier part where it's cut is higher, and when that part hits the pad, it pushes the piston back into the caliper ever so slightly, which gives you, you know, and in turn pushes all the brake fluid back up to the master cylinder, and that's what gives you that pulsating feeling at your foot. Now we engage automatic mode, and it'll feed that cutting head nice and slowly from the inside out and give us a really lovely even finish, which we'll show you at the end.
So we've skimmed the disc all around on this lovely carbon clad Audi R8. Like them, but don't think I'd have one. Just personal preference. Prefer to have an RS6 like he wants. I think we both prefer an RS6, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but not the RS6 that I wanted when I really wanted one. You've seen the state of, no, the old one. When I really wanted an RS6, the, what is it now, an 09 one or whatever.
What's that, C5 or something, is it?
I can't remember. No, C6 I think, is it?
Is it C6 still? Because the new one's 7, is it? So it must have been.
Is the new one not an 8?
Is it?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
Smilers is a 7, and then it was 7.5 and now 8.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
oh,
it was a
how much I take.
The one Lee had was a C6.
Shows you how much I take interest in them. So we skimmed the disc all round. We just need the customer to be a bit careful, but it's pretty successful. It's leaving line on the discs already, just where the pad's bedding back into it. So you just got to be careful once you've done it. But as we say, this can save you thousands of pounds on a car like this, can't it? I bet you a disc for these. Let us know in the comments down below, because I haven't checked recently. I bet your disc's £1,000, is it?
I think last time we priced the brakes for one of these, it was about £1,400 for the front axle alone. Yeah.
Was it? And then the pads to go on top of it?
No, I think that was job done, £1,400 for the front axle.
£1,400 against paying probably somewhere in the region of £200 or about, what, £500 or £600 including pads and fitting them, probably, if you were to replace the pads at the same time, just for the front axle obviously. But overall, whatever happens, the guys save money, because as we said before, the advice from Audi is that when you do the discs on their new install, they advise you to skim them anyway. So what we're going to do now is give the car back to the customer, and hopefully he will appreciate it. It doesn't do very many miles, so hopefully he's going to get a chance to test these brakes. He's probably not going to bed them in for what he's done in it. He reckons about 10 miles a week. So how long is that going to take him to bed them in?
Probably a year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it might take him a year to bed it in, but I'm sure at that point he'll let us know. So if you enjoy this content, then let us know down below, because we'll do some more of it. It's just an interesting one, really, to show you that some of this stuff is available to those of you who it would benefit. And to most of you watching this channel, anyone who owns a Ford, it probably, unless you've got a big brake kit, you probably won't be interested in something like this unless you're taking it on track days and you've got, you know, a set of K Sports or a set of APs, because that's definitely worthwhile, isn't it? But other than that, if you've got an RS3, an RS4, an RS6, an R8, or even some of the S range, isn't it? It'd make it worthwhile.
Anything with anything with brake discs that are going to cost you
a fortune.
Yeah, I mean, from like £100 a corner upwards, this is definitely a no-brainer.
Definitely a good idea. Porsches or anything like that. So get in touch if you've got a requirement for disc skimming, then let us know. Get in touch via social media, or you can call a member of the team. The telephone number's in the description, in the links to the video down below. But for now, we're going to leave it at that. We'll show you some other cool equipment that we've got, some unique stuff that we've got in videos to come. But for now, we'll leave it at that, and we'll say bye. Thanks for watching. My back's killing. He wants to get on with some more work, so see you later.
Bye.